Gilmore Girls and what would happen to the clothes when we were done filming an episode. Hi, I'm Valerie Campbell, and I was the key set costumer on Gilmore Girls and the costume supervisor for A Year in the Life. Now, watching this video is like a trip down memory lane because this cage held so many memories of moments where we would be rushing down to the cage in an emergency situation, or we would have to run down there to grab all of the Chilton clothes. But let's talk about how that cage worked, my earliest memories of walking into it, and my last moments of walking out of it for the final time. I remember the first time that Brenda took me down to the cage. It was massive. When you walked in, on the right side, it was 3 tiers high, and on the left, it was 2 tiers, but you could hang longer hanging garments. So on the left, anything that was like a bride, which I think at that point we already had a couple brides. There was the pilgrims, the corn and the pumpkins. All of the little kids' dance costumes were up there. And while the cage was not filled, the bottom part of it was filled because all of Chilton would live on racks right down the center of that cage so that we can pull them out anytime we needed to shoot that scene. Lauren would rarely wear anything more than once, so whenever we were done filming an outfit, those outfits would go down to the cage with a tag saying what episode it was used for, and it would get organized in a section by character. Anything that she could wear more often or mix and match with other pieces like jeans and t-shirts and cardigans would remain on the trailer. Whenever something didn't fit or work for the show, those would also go down to the cage, never to be seen again. The rejected clothes would end up in stock, and if there was ever an emergency when we were trying to get someone dressed, we could always rush down to the costume cage and see if we can find something that would fit someone. Each character had a section, but Lorelai's was the biggest. Do you remember when I told you that story about the lazy, hazy, crazy days? I'm sorry, is that song stuck in your head? Oh, anyways. That night that we shot that scene, Brenda had to go down to the cage to clean all of the barbershop quartet's clothes. Right across from our cage was a laundry machine, well, an entire room filled with laundry machines and dryers. If this had happened while we were on location, we would have had one laundry machine, but instead we had an entire room that we were able to wash all of those clothes as quickly as possible to get them back on those barbershop, not on the same barbershop quartet, but on new people that were dressed like the barbershop quartet. Most of the clothes that were down in the cage never got used again, but we held on to them for 7 long seasons until the show was over. But why did we do that? First, we had no idea what we were going to need or not need. At any point in time, a writer can write a flashback to a scene that we had previously shot. In fact, at the beginning of almost every season, we would have some type of continuation from the previous year. Think about Rory and Dean and Lorelai walking into that front door and discovering that. We had no idea that was going to be the next episode in the following season. But there were also times where we recycled items that were in that cage to use on other people. Can you think of a moment? Do you remember that scene with the debutante ball and all the debutante dresses? Well, those dresses got transformed into other dresses. After 3 long seasons of seeing those dresses take up an incredibly large space inside that cage on the upper left-hand side, Brenda got an idea when she read the script for You Jump, I Jump, Jack. Ball gowns. What if we take the ball gowns that are up there and dye them? She got approval from the producers, and when she sent them to get dyed, we did not know if it would work out or not, but it did. And boy, did they look amazing. Now, my last memories of our costume cage on Gilmore Girls happened at the end of season 7. Actually, not at the end of season 7, but a few weeks later. We had finally gotten word that the show had not been picked up, and they called us back in to wrap the show for good, sending things away to assets, finding all of the rentals that had not been returned, and basically saying goodbye to all the clothes. You might ask, what happens to the clothes when a show is done? The costume designer will go through and find pieces that should be archived. Brenda would pull together outfits for each of the characters that represented that season the best. Maybe they were iconic moments or things that she just really loved. But ultimately, each character is represented by these outfits, and later the studio will then put those outfits on display. Fun fact, the hat that we archived at the end of season 7 for Luke was actually the hat that he wore during A Year in the Life.